Was Caleb going to sing with his drums? He's got 2 drums. He's going to sing that to me.
And to end it, you just hit that right there.
All right, and I'm not interactive, right? I'm just projecting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
All right.
thought.
As shown on there. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. If you are looking for the proven 3-year plan for authentic project-based learning, you are in the right spot. So thanks for joining us. We've got a good group of K-12 leaders that are excited to learn more about project-based learning and really excited to learn more about a true PBL plan, not just a PBL unit off of Teachers Pay Teachers or a one-time PBL somewhat movement that fizzles out. This is how do we get leadership and teachers on the same page to create authentic project-based learning? And we'll dive into that as we go along. And let's go ahead and jump in. Here's why we're doing the webinar. Every K-12 leader should adopt a 3-year PBL plan because it strengthens teacher retention, drives school culture, and stretches your funding further. Are there more reasons? Of course there are. Are there more reasons for your teachers versus leaders? Yes. But today we're talking about these 3. What does it do for teacher retention? How do you create a full school culture around this? When you walk into a PBL school, like one of our PBL model schools at Magnify Learning, you will feel the difference. Like the things you're hearing are different. The things you see are different. There's something different in the culture of these buildings, and it's not by accident. So how do we do that? And then obviously funding and budgets are always an issue. So when you do have that funding, how do you make sure that it's sustainable and continues on? Those are the 3 things we're going to talk about. Before we jump in, I want to talk to you about one school leader named Jeff Spencer, who has been using project-based learning for over a decade now in different buildings that he has led. And he has led buildings that have gone from a D to a B using project-based learning. And they were about 75% free and reduced lunch. His was an elementary school, his first one. And again, systematically changing the culture by getting teachers excited about authentic project-based learning. He went to another school and effectively did the same thing, an F school to a B. Then he went to another elementary school. And in this case, the school's already an A as far as their state testing score. Like they were already humming, they were making it happen. And they didn't bring him in for project-based learning. But when you start looking at student outcomes and student empowerment and things that you want on those evaluation rubrics and your strategic plans, what you find is that project-based learning is that vehicle to get you to the right side of your rubric, to get you to student empowerment, not student passivity. So in order to get your teachers there, he found that what the teachers wanted to do was project-based learning. So he brought project-based learning in and created a culture of innovation, a culture of reflection, a culture of empowerment. And those things change that school as well. So wherever you're at on the spectrum of your school, I want you to know it's absolutely possible for you to bring project-based learning in a very deep way to your school. We want to make sure you do it the right way. But who are we? If you're new to Magnify Learning, we've got a lot of resources that you can dive into. My name is Ryan Stoyer. I'm the CEO of Magnify Learning. And what you see on the screen are a couple different options. You've got a podcast specifically for administrators. We've got one where we bring guests on. I do some solo interviews. There's also one called Binge PBL for administrators, and it's 20 episodes. Each one is 15 minutes or less. So the idea is you could actually just binge all of those and get an overview of PBL for administrators. We actually have this exact same process for teachers. So we want to make sure that you're equipped as a leader, and then you're also equipping your teachers. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got a whole PBL press where we are publishing PBL books. PBL Simplified, as you see on the screen, is one that takes you through the 6 steps of project-based learning, and can walk your teachers through the process of building a PBL unit. And for you as the leader, chapters 12 and 13 talk about implementation, because there are a lot of ways to implement project-based learning at your school. Some of them work and some don't. So you want to learn from the successes and the failures of others. And that's what the book's designed to do. So we've got a whole bunch of resources for you. We are steeped in project-based learning. We've been doing this for over a decade. We've launched schools with principals. We've started over. We've been in brick and mortar buildings, again, anywhere K-12, urban, rural. We've been a little bit of everywhere. And we found that project-based learning is the way that teachers want to teach, and it creates empowered learners and amazing school cultures. This is how we do it. We do it with a PBL mastery program. It's a 4-year, really a 3-year process. And by year 4, you are completely sustainable. And we'll walk through that today. Again, through this lens of where I want to start you with is a topic that you're all thinking about, and it's teacher retention. There is a teacher shortage in most of the states that we are working in, and finding and keeping those great teachers can sometimes be difficult. So what does it look like? The basics is that when we go into a school district, we were just in Kansas City this week, and we talk to the teachers and we talk about what's your why, right? Simon Sinek's brought that to the forefront for all of us, and we want to go beyond the why. When we talk about your why for project-based learning, this is the way your teachers have always wanted to teach. Right? Teaching is a personal and passionate endeavor. And when we get into teaching, it's not just because we needed a gig, right? It's that, well, college is over, I need a job, I better go teach. Like, no, typically when you ask a teacher why they started teaching, there's a very passionate reason. Maybe they want to see light bulb moments for their learners. Maybe they had a great teacher in their K-12 experience and it completely changed their lives. Or sometimes I find some teachers had a really awful experience and they don't want their learners to have that. So that's why they're in teaching. But for some reason, they got into teaching, and it wasn't for standardized tests, and it wasn't to go through a curriculum page by page by page. It was to teach inspired. It was to not be passive, but to be empowered. It was to see learners do the same thing, go from passive to empowered, to have new opportunities they've never had before. And when you create a culture like that, you get a culture like Kelly, who's on the screen. And I'll go a little deeper into Kelly's story. I reached out to her to have her on the podcast because they've got a great PBL school, high school, that they're working in. I said, hey, could you talk about teacher retention? You know, I'm sure you're losing some teachers and it's a big issue across your state. Would you mind coming on to talk about what you guys do? And she said, well, I would love to come on the podcast, but we didn't have any teacher turnover this year or the year before. All of our teachers stayed. And I was like, what? What just happened? Like, how? Like, now you have to be on the podcast, and that's what I want you to talk about. So we've linked it in the slides here, but podcast episode 158 of the PBL Simplified for Administrators podcast, and you can listen to the whole episode. The too long didn't read, the TLDR, is that they have an amazing culture of project-based learning. They have an amazing culture of having community partners in the building. They have an amazing culture where teachers are valued and have autonomy and are empowered. And that gets great teachers to stay and not so great teachers to move on. And I kind of grilled Kelly a little bit on the podcast because I'm like, okay, like, tell us about your situation. They're like, are you in a place where you've got this plethora of great teachers? Are you right next to a university? And she says, actually, we're right next to a larger district that pays more than us. So for a while, it was easy to lose teachers. But since they've had this amazing culture, they have a school within a school model. So there's a larger high school option, and then there's a PBL option. And this PBL school, again, does not have teacher turnover. So the teachers could go work somewhere else for more pay, but they stay with Kelly because they want the instructional model. They want the school culture that empowers them as teachers and empowers their kids, because those are the results that they're looking for. Literally no turnover. What would that look like for you if you're watching this live with us? Like, you were likely hiring right now. You probably have interviews set up this week. Like, what if you didn't have those for the summer? You just knew everybody was coming back. That would be amazing. If you listed out the pros and cons, the pros would be enormous. You don't have to go back over, although you probably will, your core values. You get to go core values 2.0 because everybody's heard that talk before, right? Everybody has been through the procedures. You can gloss over some of the procedures because they know those, and you can get into the deep work that you've always wanted to get to. No turnover is a possibility. It is a reality. If you want to go visit Kelly's school, again, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to reach out. You can set up a call with me or somebody from our team. Go to callmagnify.com, callmagnify.com, and it'll take you to a Calendly, set up a time that works for you, and we can get you a school visit to go see Kelly live in action and go talk to her teachers who are going to stay. Now, the other piece I want to talk about is the mindset change that happens with project-based learning. So I call it skills over curriculum, because there's something very different that happens when you train for skills versus getting a new curriculum. You can buy a new curriculum and it's going to have all the great outcomes that are supposed to be listed, and it's going to come from California or Texas. So hopefully you're in one of those states because it relies directly to you, right? But that curriculum is going to be adopted differently by each teacher, right? And it really falls along this innovation curve. Simon Sinek talks about this a lot. And we've brought it into our trainings to see how PBL assimilates into your school culture. And here's what we find is that with curriculum, your innovators, your early adopters, that first part of the innovation curve, they're going to bounce off the curriculum anyway. They're barely going to use it because they want to do more than what's there. Your early late majority are going to go page by page and do exactly what you ask them to do. Your laggards are only going to use that part of the curriculum that was in the last textbook, right? They're going to take the same thing. If the Telltale Heart was in the last set of curriculum and the Telltale Heart's in this set of curriculum, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to look for. Now, what about skills training? Because when we bring project-based learning to a school, we're a skills-based training organization. We help build skills and mindset. So what happens is everybody moves up on the innovation curve. Your innovators and your early adopters jump in. They're going to do these. They're going to go first. They're going to show everybody that works at your school. Your early and late majority are going to watch those innovators go. They're going to use the training. They really need the training. They want that training. They want to see that it works there, and they're going to jump in. Your laggards, they're going to at least bring a community partner in, right? Like they bump up. They might do an entry event. It might still be a traditional unit, but now there's a community partner in there making it real. So when you bring in a skills building organization, everybody gets better. If it's curriculum, at least the sides on the each end of your innovation curve are going to completely miss the advantages of that new curriculum because they're going to do their own thing. So when you're looking at how do you best spend your dollars, it's like you really want to look at skills training because that's going to last over time. And once you create that school culture, which is what we're talking about in this section, you're not going to have that same turnover. So now you're building skills and staff that are staying, you're building skills over time. So you might be like our partner here on the screen, Babcock Ranch Neighborhood Schools. What you get here is an innovative place. You get innovative teachers with different mindset. Every one of their teachers gets PBL certified. It's part of the process that they go through. And because they do that, the skills of everybody that goes into their system, K-12, gets ramped up in mindset and skill base. That's amazing. That's where you get some of the things on the screen. They had a group of kids that went to go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and got to interact in that environment in Washington, D.C. That's amazing. They are doing amazing work with prosthetics. They're doing amazing work in protecting bald eagles in their area. They're always out in the community doing that work. Again, K-12, because every teacher is in a skills-based training that's lifting them up and making them better, and they're staying. So if you want to talk about school culture, again, go to callmagnify.com, callmagnify.com, and we can talk about how we can ramp up your school culture. And what I'd love to hear is, where's your culture at now, and where do you want it to be? There's always that gap. In leadership, we always have that gap. That's why you're in leadership. If you weren't concerned about making things better, you would have stayed wherever your last position was. But where's your culture at now in your school, and where do you want it to be? Because it's definitely doable. We see it every day. Now, here's one that I know you are also steeped in, and that's budget and investment. Like, where are you going to put the dollars that you do have so that you get the biggest bang for your buck? Now, as a principal, the research shows that you might not be in that same position for a very long time, right? Like 3 to 5 years, which means, number one, you need to start now. There's that theory that I'm going to give it a couple of years to figure things out, and then I'll make change. By then, it's really too late, honestly. So you need to start right away. Like, yes, you need to be reflective. Yes, you need to listen. And you need to have a plan to involve your staff and change over time. And when you do that, you create a culture that's empowering. That creates teachers that stay. That creates principals that stay. And now you have full-on school change that is sustainable. And when you do that, you need to make sure that your budget is creating sustainable systems and processes. That's what makes your life doable. If your hair's on fire every single day and you're putting out all the fires and you're getting everybody going, you're the encourager that makes everything work every day. You can only do that so long. We see it every day. We want you to build structures and processes that allow the work to happen with your staff being innovative, with your coaches being innovative, with your APs being innovative, and yes, you being innovative, and that chief encouragement officer, but everybody's involved all the way through. And when you do that, you create the structures, you invest in structures and processes, now you're there for the long haul. And you're showing your teachers that you're there for the long haul. That's when they stay. That's when your culture becomes amazing. So we think you can do that in a 3-year process. So we want you to look 3 years out. Where's your school at? Where do you want to be in 3 years? We use the PBL Mastery Program to help schools create a sustainable process. It's our mission. Our mission is to completely transform schools with project-based learning and make it sustainable so that you're not constantly relying even on us. Like we want by year 4, we want our relationship to completely change. Let me walk you through this process. In year 1, we're looking at foundations for you as a leadership team and your teachers as well, because they're going to change the classroom practice. Now I say leadership team with some emphasis because it's not just you. It's your APs, it's your coaches, it's lead teachers. And you have this leadership team that is creating a grassroots movement where it's not just you waving the flag and shouting all these things. It's, again, APs, coaches, and teachers all with you, co-creating this vision so that now it's we are moving in this direction, not just you pulling people along. It's a big deal. Year 1's a super big deal. And we walk you through that process like we have with many other schools. Year 2 starts implementation. And again, we're working with leadership, we're working with teams. Now you're going to implement with kids. And by year 3, it's integrated into your school system and you are a fully sustaining PBL culture. Let me walk you through the framework here. So here you can graphically see what it is I'm talking about, right? So you've got in year 1, design days for leadership team. You build out your 3-year plan. You're going to make that 3-year plan clear. You're going to have confidence in it because your whole team has created it. And you can communicate that to your entire school. Hey, this is a long haul. It's going to be 3 years. Here's the support that you're going to have. And what you find is when you have a clear vision like this for 3 years, your teachers will jump in. When I first jumped in the classroom, teaching 8th grade English at a school with 75% free and reduced lunch, I was on this awesome team where we cared about kids. And my mentor teacher was a great man. He'd been teaching there for a very, very long time. I was going to try to pull the years, but just a super long time. And project-based learning came along. And I was like, wow, like this is relational. It's real world. I came from the engineering world. So I was like, this is exactly what I think kids need. And Bruce looks at me and goes, I'm going to wait this one out. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like the principal said that, we've all got to try this. We all got to do it. Yeah, if you give it time, it'll fade. So I'm going to wait this one out. And of course, Bruce was right? Our educational initiatives do come and they do go. There's this revolving door that creates some apathy and some cynicism. And in a lot of cases, rightfully so. So what you want to do with this 3-year plan is you're going to launch this vision and the support structures and the process throughout, and then your teachers will fully jump in because they know it's not going away. They know that there's an actual sustainable plan to keep this going, and they will jump in. So you're going to do that with your leadership team in year 1, and then your teachers are going to go through a jump start. In year 2, again, leadership team, they've learned a whole bunch of things in that last year of implementation. Let's look at what worked. Let's look at what didn't work and magnify those bright spots, right? Research says that in change process, magnifying those bright spots is such a big deal. And then your teachers are going to revamp as well in year 2, because now they've had students in the seats for their PBL units. They're going to create some more PBL units, a curriculum plan, benchmarking, upping rigor. It's amazing. By year 3, now these are sustainability days. You've seen the process. Your leadership team is now going to plan going forward. What are the teams, the structures, the processes that we need as a school so that we can do this work without Magnify Learning being in here every day? They're still going to be our partner. They're still going to be on call. They're still going to meet with us, but we want to be able to do this on our own. And what do we do if somebody leaves? What if a key coach leaves? What if you as a principal leaves? What if a teacher leaves? You have to be able to continue the work. So you're going to plan through that process as a leadership team, and your teachers are going to be getting certified. So you have your own trainers on staff to then train your new hires. So now you have a sustainable system of innovation. You're training your own new hires in PBL. You've got mindset, you've got processes that keep all the innovation going so that by year 4, you're a self-sustaining PBL school. Isn't that amazing? That's super cool. So we also have a whole set of resources that are online for your teachers to continue the work. And once you get to year 4 and you have teachers that are PBL certified, Babcock Ranch Neighborhood School is doing this right now as we speak. It was the school I just showed you. And their trainers are actually using our slides. So that PBL Jumpstart that you see there in year 1, that school is actually using our slides to train their new hires. So we're giving you the best that we have so that you can be fully sustainable. And this is where we see other PBL organizations kind of have had some issues in the past where things go awesome for these 3 years. And then that alumni fee afterwards is so high that schools can't sustain it. This is where your investment gets stretched. This is where it's truly an investment and not a cost. You invest in the 3 years and you reap those rewards well past that. It's awesome. I've got some more details on here so we can get you the slides as you go to share this with your team. Again, go to callmagnify.com to set up a one-on-one meeting with us, and we'll talk through again where you are and where you want to be, and then we'll give you this set of slides so you can walk your team through this process and they can see it just like these schools on the screen have done. Calvert County is a large district in Maryland, and they got a core group trained actually through social studies was where they started. K-12 social studies showed up and we did these trainings, and they trained a district coach, and she was amazing. And we actually coached their coach. So they created a sustainable system. And after 3 years, we no longer partner at that high level to start with. That investment absolutely worked, and they're fully sustaining. The same thing happened with Dixie Elementary. They're a Title I elementary school, and they went year 1, year 2, year 3. We did sustainability days. The principal left, and we had a plan set up, right? So they can continue using project-based learning. In Babcock Ranch schools, we've talked about them. They started as an elementary, grew to middle school, and then grew their high school. They were a charter school. They are a charter school, and that's how they grew. But every time they did, they made sure that their teachers were trained in project-based learning. And they have a coach on staff that trains all of their new hires, that does their PD, and we coach their coach. Do you see the sustainability that's built in? So you don't have to keep coming back to our workshops. You're certainly welcome to. We have partners that do that. But what our goal is to make you be fully sustainable in your PBL so that you've got the school culture that retains teachers, that you're using your investment well. You don't have to continually reinvest, and you're leading the way you've always wanted to lead. You're managing, you've got things you have to manage every day, but you're actually leading, you're inspiring, you're building up your people, building their capacity, the innovation within your school. And you are that school where people are like, wow, something feels different here. I don't know exactly what it is, but something's different. And you can tell them what it is, right? Or you can just let them experience it. It's actually, I feel like some of our principals do that. They're just like, just go talk to people, go talk to my staff, go talk to the kids, just try to figure it out. What is it? Right? And we kind of pull these ideas of collaboration always comes out. Like they're so open to feedback. I gave them a little bit of feedback and they ran with it. Like, yes, yes, and yes. Right. And because they want to be there. They love being there. As you do this, we've got several PBL model schools across the country that you can go visit. And you can actually hold your design days at one of our model schools this fall. Here's how you get to be a model school, because you might be asking that question because you're a high flyer. That's typically who we draw. And they say, well, it's neat to go visit a model school. How do I become a model school. And this is the process. We actually take you through these 4 different levels. We've got a rubric that we can walk you through, you and your staff, probably your leadership team, and we walk you through that process. You get a banner at each stage and you walk through, and then eventually you are that PBL model school, and people come visit your school to hold their design days because they want to go see the amazing things happening in your classroom. They want to talk to your staff. They want to talk to you to say, how did you get started in this? It's amazing, and I want some of that. So CSA New Tech is one of our model schools in Indiana. They're in Columbus, Indiana, just south of Indianapolis. And they've been doing this for 10 plus years. One of my favorite schools across the country. I think it's the best when you look at project-based learning. As soon as you walk in, things are different. Actually, if you go to the video on our homepage, it's from CSA, right? So you go and you talk to these learners, and I know at one point I was like, I feel like these kids are more mature than I am. I feel like their outlook on life is more solid than mine. You have to learn to work in groups. And this is what a sophomore is saying to me. And you could tell he wasn't like the ideal student. He's like, you have to figure out who you can work with and who you can't. And either way, you're in a group, so you have to figure it out. It's like, wow, like you, especially my sophomore year in high school, like you were crushing me, kid. And they're doing real world work in their community to the point that the community will actually reach out to the school and say, hey, we've got this problem that needs solving. Would your kids like to do it? That's amazing. The double amazing part is that they've had their founding principal has retired, and the succession was fantastic. So they had a teacher that had been at CSA for a long time. He went and got a principalship somewhere else in the district and then came back, and now they're crushing it. Succession planning is such a big deal. This is where you might be that leader that's doing amazing things, but what happens when you move on to another position? Like, that's fine. Or you retire. Like, that's great. We're glad for you to do that. But what happens to the work that you've built? And we see it disappear almost immediately all the time. So we're definitely sticking our nose into succession planning more and more. And part of that is do you have sustainable structures, processes, and teams that can do the work beyond just you? We want to help you build those. That is our passion. So again, go to callmagnify.com. Callmagnify.com. We'll set up a one-on-one call and figure out, where are you? Where do you want to be? Here's your call to action. Every year we add new schools to our partnership. Schools just like you. And you say, well, Ryan, how can you say that? You don't know me yet. But if you're a K-12 school, whether you're rural, suburban, or urban, whether you're big or small, we've worked with somebody just like you. You don't have to be a STEM school. You don't have to have, you can be a STEM school. You don't have to have this amazingly neat furniture and these extra cool rooms. You can, but you don't have to. We've been in brick and mortar buildings. That's where I started. And in our system of project-based learning, we had 25% of the kids, but we only had 8% of the discipline. In an F school, we would have been a B, and our attendance was 1.5% higher, which is a big deal in a large middle school. We had 951 kids in 7th and 8th grade, 75% free and reduced lunch. Like, I'm telling you, if those numbers don't match you exactly, I've got another school that's just like you, where attendance went up, discipline went down, and scores go up. Because when kids show up and generally do what they're supposed to do, if you've got best practices in there, it works, right? It works. It's amazing. We see this happen every day, that teachers become more engaged, which means they stay. Your school culture changes, which means things are happening without you. And principals are doing the work they've always wanted to do. It's true legacy work that builds up beyond them. So schedule a call to find out how you can start your 3-year PBL plan. Go to callmagnify.com. We look forward to talking with you.